I was at my kitchen table on a Tuesday morning when my phone rang. A local number I did not recognize. The man on the other end identified himself as Arthur Bellamy, an attorney. He asked if I was the grandson of Edmund Caswell. I said yes. He said he was glad he reached me. He said he had been hoping to make this call for some time. I asked how he got my number. He said Edmund gave it to him 11 years ago, along with instructions to call on a specific condition. I asked what condition. He said Edmund's brother, my great-uncle, passed away last Thursday. I did not know this. I did not know I was supposed to. The lawyer said he had been waiting 11 years to make this call. He said there were documents to review. He asked if I could come to his office this week. I said yes. I hung up and sat at my kitchen table. My grandfather had been dead for 5 years. His brother had just died last Thursday, and a lawyer I had never spoken to had been holding something for 11 years, waiting for a condition to be met. I did not know what it was. I did not know why it had to wait for my great-uncle to die. I did not know why my grandfather gave a lawyer my phone number 11 years ago, but I knew I was going to find out. My grandfather, Edmund Caswell, was a retired civil engineer. He was widowed young and raised 3 children on his own in a house he built. The house was on land that had been in the family since his own grandfather. He was not a demonstrative man, but he was specific in his attentions. He remembered what I told him, and he asked about it the next time we spoke. He never once talked to me like I was smaller than I was. When I was 12, he taught me how to use a slide rule. Not because he thought I would need it, because he thought I would like understanding how something worked before anyone explained it. He was right. I spent weekends with him through high school. Not because my parents needed a break, because I wanted to be there. We read in the same room for hours without talking. That was how he showed up, not with words, with presence. Edmund died 4 years ago at 81. I was 30. I attended the funeral and the reading of the will. The will distributed the estate among his 3 children in equal thirds. Small personal bequests to grandchildren. I received his library. Several hundred books, which I packed into my car myself. I thought that was the whole of it. After Edmund died, my uncle Douglas handled the estate. He is the eldest son, and he had managed my grandfather's affairs in his final years. The process was swift and produced no disputes. My father received his third. Douglas and the middle brother Warren received theirs. The house went to Douglas, who had lived closest. I drove home with the books. I did not hear anything further about the estate. Douglas has always been efficient and proprietary about the family's affairs. He treated his role as estate manager as a permanent appointment rather than a temporary one. I have always found him easier to respect from a distance. He is not unkind. He is just certain about how things should be done, certain about who should do them, certain that his version of events is the version that matters. The will was executed cleanly 4 years ago. No disputes, no challenges, no surprises. I drove home with the books, and I did not think about the estate again. Now a lawyer has called me. He said he'd been waiting 11 years for this call. He said there were documents to review. My grandfather built something outside the will, something that had to wait for his brother to die before it could be opened. I do not know what it is. I do not know why it had to wait. I do not know why my grandfather gave a lawyer my phone number 11 years ago, but I know he did not do things without reason. And I know Douglas does not know about this, because if Douglas knew, I would have heard about it already. The lawyer said, "Come to my office this week. I am going on Thursday, and I am not telling anyone why." I called Arthur Bellamy back within the hour. He asked if I could come to his office. I asked if he could tell me anything over the phone. He said he could tell me the outline. He said Edmund came to him 11 years ago, 7 years before his death. He established a separate legal instrument entirely outside the will. It was structured to activate on the death of Edmund's last surviving sibling. That sibling was my great-uncle Harold. He died last Thursday at 92. Bellamy told me the instrument is a trust. He told me I am the sole beneficiary. He told me the trust contains the deed to a piece of land, not the family house. A separate parcel. 12 acres that Edmund purchased 30 years ago under a corporate holding name. The holding name is not connected to the family estate in any public record. The land has never appeared in any family document I have seen. I asked why the trust activated on Harold's death rather than Edmund's. Bellamy said those were Edmund's instructions. He did not yet explain why. He said Edmund left a letter sealed addressed to me. He expects it will answer that question more completely than he can. He said he has been holding the letter since Edmund signed it 11 years ago. He said Edmund told him he was a patient man and that Bellamy should be one too. I sat with my phone against my ear. 12 acres. Purchased 30 years ago under a name no one in the family knew. My grandfather bought land and hid it. Not from a government. From his own children. From Douglas. From my father. From Warren. He hid it from all of them and left it from me. I asked Bellamy what I was supposed to do next. He said come to his office and read the letter. He said the land is not going anywhere. He said it has been waiting 11 years. It can wait a few more days. I said I would be there on Thursday. He said he would have the coffee ready. I hung up. I sat at my kitchen table. The land was purchased 30 years ago. That was before I was born. My grandfather bought 12 acres when he was in his 50s. He put it under a corporate name. He told no one. Then he went to a lawyer 7 years before he died. He set up a trust that would not activate until his brother Harold died. He gave the lawyer my phone number, and he wrote me a letter. He wrote it 11 years ago. It has been sitting in a file in Arthur Bellamy's office for 11 years, waiting for Harold to die, waiting for me to be old enough, waiting for the right moment. I do not know what the letter says. I do not know what my grandfather was protecting. I do not know who he expected to come looking for that land. But I know he did all of this, every piece of it, because he did not trust his own children to do what he wanted. And he trusted me. He trusted me to be the one. He made that decision 11 years ago, when I was 23, when I was still figuring out who I was. He already knew. He already knew I would be the one he could count on. I sat at my kitchen table, and I thought about my Uncle Douglas, the efficient one, the one who managed everything, the one who got the house. He has no idea. None of them have any idea. Thursday cannot come fast enough. Before I drove to Bellamy's office, I called my father. I told him I received a call from a lawyer named Arthur Bellamy regarding Edmund's estate. My father was quiet for a moment. Then he said he did not know that name. I asked if he knew about any land Edmund owned outside the family estate. Another pause. He said not that he is aware of. I asked him to think about it and call me back. He called back 40 minutes later. He said he spoke to Douglas. Douglas knows Bellamy's name. He said he knew Edmund had a relationship with a separate attorney. He was told it related to some old business matters from Edmund's engineering practice. Nothing relevant to the family estate. My father said Douglas sounded careful when he said this. I asked him what careful meant. He said careful like someone who is making sure he says the right thing. I drove to Bellamy's office without telling Douglas I was going. I made this decision consciously. I thought about my grandfather, who built something in a corporate holding name 30 years ago and told no one. I decided that following his example for one afternoon was appropriate. Before I left the house, I called my father back. I asked him one question. I asked if Douglas ever mentioned the name of the corporate entity Edmund used for any outside business holdings. My father said he does not know of one. I said if Douglas asks, tell him Bellamy called about Harold's estate and that I am handling it. My father asked if everything is all right. I said I think it is going to be. I said I will explain tonight. I hung up and I got in my car. Douglas knows Bellamy's name. He gave a prepared explanation for the relationship. Engineering practice. Old business matters. Nothing relevant to the family estate. That means he has thought about this possibility. He has wondered what Edmund was doing with a separate attorney. He asked about it. Someone told him something, and he accepted the answer, or he pretended to accept it. Either way, he has been carrying that explanation for years. He believed whatever was in that trust had already been resolved. He believed it was nothing. He believed it was old business. He believed it did not matter. He was wrong. I drove toward Bellamy's office. I thought about Douglas, the eldest son, the one who managed everything, the one who got the house. He sat in my grandfather's living room after the funeral. He told everyone he would handle the estate. He told everyone everything was in order. He told everyone there were no surprises. He did not know about the 12 acres. He did not know about the corporate holding name. He did not know about Arthur Bellamy. He did not know about the letter. He did not know that my grandfather had been waiting 11 years for his own brother to die, so that I could get what he wanted me to have. I did not know what Douglas thought was in that trust. I did not know what he believed he had resolved, but I know he believed it was finished, and I know he was wrong. I pulled into Bellamy's parking lot. I sat in my car for a moment. My grandfather taught me how to use a slide rule when I was 12. He taught me how to understand how something worked before anyone explained it. I am about to understand something, and Douglas does not even know I am here. Bellamy's office was small and ordered. The office of a man who has practiced in one place for a long time. He sees no reason to change anything that works. He shook my hand, and he brought out a file. Separately, he brought out a sealed envelope with my name on it in Edmund's handwriting. I recognized the handwriting immediately. I held the envelope for a moment before I opened it. The letter was 3 pages handwritten, dated 11 years ago. Edmund wrote without preamble. He told me he was writing this 7 years before he expected to die. He was an engineer, he noted, and he had always preferred to work from a plan. He told me he was leaving me the 12 acres, because I am the one who will know what to do with it, because I am the one he trusts to do what Edmund would have done. Hold it, not sell it, not let it become a transaction. The middle section of the letter explained the holding structure. Edmund purchased the land 30 years ago when he became concerned that a family dispute would eventually draw every asset he owned into a contestable estate. He put the land in a corporate name to remove it from that surface. He structured the trust to activate on Harold's death because Harold was the last person alive who knew about the dispute. Harold was the last person who might have made a claim. The family dispute Edmund referenced in the letter was not about money. It was about the original family land, the parcel the house sits on, a decision Edmund's father made 2 generations back. Douglas has spent his adult life trying to relitigate that decision in Edmund's direction. Edmund spent his adult life refusing to relitigate it. The 12 acres were never part of that dispute. Edmund removed them from the board entirely, quietly, 30 years ago, so they could never become part of it. I read the letter 3 times. My grandfather did not explain the dispute. He did not need to. He knew I knew the edges of it. Every family has a story that gets told at holidays. The one where someone was wronged and someone was right and nothing was ever resolved. I knew that story. I did not know the center of it. I did not know how deep it went. I did not know that Douglas was still carrying it, still trying to win it, still trying to pull Edmund's assets into its gravity. Edmund built a separate legal instrument 11 years before his death. He purchased land 30 years ago under a name no one knew. He put in a trust that would not activate until his brother died, because he wanted to make sure that land would never be part of the fight, and he wanted me to have it, not because he thought I would win, because he thought I would not fight at all. He thought I would hold it. He trusted me to hold it. I sat in Arthur Bellamy's office with a letter in my hands. Bellamy was not looking at me. He was looking out the window, giving me the room. I folded the letter. I put it back in the envelope. I looked at Bellamy. I said the dispute. He said I know about it. I said my grandfather wanted to keep this land out of it. He said that is what the trust was designed to do. I asked if the protection was already complete. Bellamy said the trust is valid and the land is yours. He said the dispute does not touch it. He said that was your grandfather's intention. I asked if I needed to understand the dispute to hold the land. Bellamy looked at me. He said that is between you and your family. He said I am just a lawyer. I put the envelope in my pocket. The protection was complete. The land was mine. But I was sitting in a lawyer's office with a letter that explained something I had only known the edges of. And I realized that understanding the dispute might not be about the land. It might be about why my grandfather spent 30 years protecting something from people he loved. I did not know the answer to that yet, but I had the letter, and I had the land, and I had the rest of my life to decide what to do with both. The final page of Edmund's letter was shorter than the first two. He told me he chose me not because I was his favorite. He said he was not the kind of man who had favorites. He said I should not read it that way. He chose me because I was the one who listened when he talked. I remembered what he said. I never once asked him for anything. He said that is rarer than I know. He told me he was sorry he could not tell me in person. He said he chose not to because telling me would have required explaining the dispute. And explaining the dispute would have put me in the middle of something that was never my weight to carry. He said he spent his life trying to keep that weight off the people he loved. He said he was not always successful, but he was trying. The last paragraph was brief. He wrote the land is 12 acres of good timber and one creek. I used to walk it on Sunday mornings when your grandmother was alive. I have not been back in some years, but I think of it often. It is yours now. Do what you would do with something you love. You have always known how to do that. He signed it with his full name the way he signed everything. Edmund Caswell. I sat in Bellamy's office with a letter in my hands. Do what you would do with something you love. He did not tell me to hold it. He did not tell me to develop it. He did not tell me to pass it on. He told me to apply my own judgment. The same trust he extended to me when I was a child. Now in legal form. I folded the letter. I put it back in the envelope. I looked at Bellamy. I asked what happens next. He said the trust is active and the deed is being transferred. He said I would receive the documents in the mail within 2 weeks. He said the land is mine to do with as I choose. I asked if Douglas would be notified. Bellamy said the trust was structured to require no notification to any third party. He said the land has never appeared on any family document. He said Douglas has no legal claim and no right to be informed. I asked if he would find out anyway. Bellamy said that depends on what I decide to do with the land. He said if I keep it quiet, it stays quiet. He said if I do something visible, Douglas will see it eventually. I nodded. I stood up. I shook Bellamy's hand. I drove home with the letter in my pocket. Douglas does not know the trust has activated. He does not know I sat in Arthur Bellamy's office. He does not know about the 12 acres. He does not know about the creek or the timber or the Sunday mornings my grandfather walked that land with my grandmother. He knows nothing, and I have to decide when he finds out. I have to decide what I do with something I love. My grandfather spent 30 years protecting this land. He spent 11 years waiting for his brother to die, so I could have it. He wrote me a letter telling me he trusted me. He did not tell me what to do. He trusted me to know. I am 34 years old. I have 12 acres of good timber and one creek. I have a letter in my pocket, and I have an uncle who has spent his adult life trying to relitigate a decision made 2 generations ago. He will find out eventually. He always does. The question is what he does when he finds out, and what I do when he comes to ask me about it. I parked in my driveway. I sat in my car for a long time. The letter was in my pocket. The land was mine, and I had no idea what came next. But I knew my grandfather had been waiting 11 years for this moment, and I was not going to waste it. Bellamy advised me that the trust transfer is a matter of public record once filed. Douglas will have access to the filing within weeks regardless of what I tell him. I decided to tell him myself before that happens. I called my father first. I told him everything, the letter and the land and the holding structure and the dispute Edmund referenced. My father was quiet for a long time. Then he said I knew there was something he never told us. He said I did not know it was that specific. I asked if he was angry. He said he did not know what he was yet. He said he would call me later. I called Douglas. I told him Bellamy contacted me regarding a trust Edmund established. I told him the trust has now activated. I told him I am the beneficiary of a parcel of land Edmund held separately from the estate. I gave him the basic facts without the letter's contents. He asked the name of the holding company. I told him. There was a silence on the line that told me he recognized it. Not a long silence, but long enough. He asked if Bellamy has the original purchase documents. I said he does. He asked if I would be willing to share them. I said I will speak to Bellamy about what is appropriate to share. His tone shifted, not hostile, but pressured. He said he thinks there may be some history to this land that I'm not aware of. I said I am aware of more than he might expect. He said your grandfather, and I had an understanding about certain assets. I said I have a letter from my grandfather about this asset. I said it was written 11 years ago. He asked what it says. I said that he trusted me to handle it. A pause. He said he would like to see that letter. I said I know you would. I did not say I would show it to him. He did not ask again on this call. He said he would call me back. I said I would be here. We hung up. I sat at my kitchen table. Douglas believes there was an understanding with Edmund. He said your grandfather, and I had an understanding about certain assets. He said it like it was a fact, like it was something he had been carrying for years, something he believed was settled. Edmund left a letter suggesting the opposite. Not suggesting, stating. The letter said he structured the trust to activate on Harold's death because Harold was the last person who might have made a claim. It did not mention Douglas. It did not mention any understanding. It mentioned a dispute that Douglas has spent his adult life trying to relitigate. Edmund removed the land from that dispute, quietly, 30 years ago, so it could never become part of it. I do not know what Douglas thinks the understanding was. I do not know if he has anything in writing. I do not know if he has emails or letters or notes from conversations. I do not know if he has been carrying a version of events that never existed outside his own head. But I know my grandfather wrote me a letter, and I know he did not mention Douglas. Not once. Not in 3 pages. He mentioned the dispute. He mentioned Harold. He did not mention the son who managed his affairs. The son who lived closest. The son who got the house. The son who thought he understood everything. My grandfather did not trust Douglas with this land. He trusted me, and now Douglas knows, and he wants to see the letter, and I have to decide what I show him, and what I keep, and what I do with 12 acres of good timber and 1 creek. Then my grandfather walked on Sunday mornings, and never told anyone about. Am over at where silence ends. What is the thing your family thinks they understand, but you have the documents for? Douglas contacted Bellamy directly 3 days after my call. He requested a meeting. Bellamy called me to inform me, as he is obligated to do. He asked how I would like to proceed. I asked Bellamy to take the meeting and report back. He did. Douglas's claim, as Bellamy relayed, it was that Edmund verbally agreed to fold the 12 acres into the family estate upon Harold's death. He said the land was always intended as part of the broader family holding. He said the trust structure was a temporary measure Edmund used during a period of legal uncertainty. He said Edmund planned to unwind it. He said he can provide witnesses to this conversation. He said the witnesses are Warren, the middle brother, and a family friend who has since died. Bellamy told me that Douglas's claim has no legal weight. The trust is valid, properly executed, and unambiguous. He said he's telling me about the claim not because it threatens the transfer, but because I should know Douglas is prepared to make it loudly if not addressed. He said Edmund anticipated this possibility. He opened a second shorter document in the file, a 1-page addendum Edmund signed at the same time as the trust. It states explicitly that no verbal agreement, family understanding, or subsequent conversation supersedes the terms of the instrument. I asked Bellamy if my grandfather told him why he included the addendum. Bellamy paused. He said Edmund told him he had a son who was very good at remembering conversations that had not taken place. He said he wanted to make sure that talent had no surface to work on. I said nothing for a moment. Then I said that sounds like him. Bellamy said it does. He said in 30 years, he never met a man who prepared more carefully for the things he hoped would not happen. I thanked Bellamy. I hung up. I sat at my kitchen table. Douglas is claiming a verbal agreement with witnesses. One witness is Warren. The other is dead. Warren is the middle brother, the one who has always gone along with whatever Douglas decided, the one who does not like conflict, the one who would not contradict Douglas in front of other people, even if he knew the truth, especially if he knew the truth. The addendum closes Douglas's legal avenue. He cannot win in court. The document is clear. Edmund signed it 11 years ago. He put it in writing. He anticipated the claim. He prepared for it. He built a wall around this land, so his son could not climb over it. But Douglas has not accepted it yet. The family is watching. My father is watching. Warren is watching. My cousins are watching. They all know something is happening. They do not know what. They have heard pieces. Douglas will tell them his version. He will say there was an understanding. He will say Edmund meant for the land to stay in the family. He will say, I am keeping something that was never meant to be kept. The legal claim will fail. But the family claim is different. The family claim does not need evidence. The family claim needs a story. And Douglas is very good at telling stories. I have the letter. I have the addendum. I have the deed. I have 12 acres of land that my grandfather walked on Sunday mornings. And I have a family that is about to be divided. Douglas will do something when the legal claim fails. He will not go to court. He is too smart for that. He will go to the family. He will sit at dinners and tell his version. He will wait for someone to agree with him. He will wait for someone to say, "You're right, Douglas. That is not fair." He will wait for me to give in, because he thinks I care more about being liked than about being right. He is wrong about that. He has always been wrong about that. I just never had a reason to prove it until now. Douglas did not pursue the claim formally. Bellamy's letter to his inquiry, citing the addendum and the trust's unambiguous terms, produced no legal response. What it produced instead was a phone call from Warren to my father. Warren said Douglas is deeply hurt. He said the family should consider whether I pursuing this is worth the damage to the relationships. My father relayed the call to me verbatim. He did not editorialize. I asked what he thought. He said, "Your grandfather wrote you a letter." He said, "I think that settles it." Douglas sent me a single email 2 weeks after Bellamy's letter. 3 paragraphs. The first revisited his understanding of Edmund's intentions. The second questioned the circumstances under which the trust was established, implying Edmund may not have been fully informed of the implications. The third said he hopes we can find a resolution that honors the family. I read it twice. I forwarded it to Bellamy. I did not respond. The trust transfer completed without further complication. I received the deed in the mail on a Thursday morning. A single sheet of paper with my name on it. I put it in the same folder as Edmund's letter. The folder is thin. It contains everything that matters and nothing that does not. I think my grandfather would have appreciated that. I sat at my kitchen table with the deed in my hands. Douglas has gone quiet, not because he accepted the outcome, because he ran out of surfaces to work on. Edmund built a wall around this land. Douglas cannot climb it. He cannot go under it. He cannot go around it. He can only stand outside and tell people he is hurt. That is what he will do now. He will tell the family at Thanksgiving. He will tell them at Christmas. He will tell them at every gathering for the rest of his life. That his father took something from him. That his nephew kept it. That the family was broken by a piece of land. That is his story. He will tell it until he believes it. And maybe he already does. The 12 acres are mine now. The transfer is complete. The deed is in the folder. The letter is in the folder. The addendum is in the folder. Edmund's instructions are clear. Do what you would do with something you love. I have been thinking about those words for weeks. Do what you would do with something you love. Not hold it. Not sell it. Not pass it on. Do what you would do. He trusted me to know. He trusted me the way he trusted me when I was 12, and he handed me a slide rule. He did not explain how it worked. He let me figure it out. He watched me struggle. He watched me succeed. He was there. That was what he did. He was there. I have 12 acres of good timber and one creek. My grandfather walked it on Sunday mornings when my grandmother was alive. He has not been back in some years, but he thought of it often. I'm going to walk it. I'm going to see the creek. I'm going to sit on the land that he protected for 30 years. Not because I have to, because I want to, because that is what you do with something you love. You show up. You walk it. You sit there. You remember who gave it to you, and you decide what comes next. I do not know what comes next yet. I know I am not selling it. I know I am not letting it become a transaction. I know I'm not letting Douglas turn it into a grievance. It is land. It is trees and a creek and the memory of a man who walked there on Sunday mornings. That is enough for now. That is more than enough. I'm going to walk it. I'm going to take my time. And I'm going to figure out what I would do with something I love. Because my grandfather thought I already knew. And I want to prove him right. I drove to the 12 acres on a Saturday morning 6 weeks after the transfer completed. I had the deed in my bag and no particular plan. The land is accessed by a gravel road off a county highway. A gate, a padlock, a key Bellamy gave me. I opened the gate myself. The land was what Edmund described. Good timber, one creek, a Sunday morning kind of place. I walked it for 2 hours. I did not see another person. I called my father from the land, standing at the creek. I described what I saw. He asked if it was what I expected. I said I did not know what to expect. I said it feels like something that was waiting. He said that is probably because it was. I asked if he would like to come see it. He said yes. I said I would bring him next time. He said he would like that. Neither of us mentioned Douglas. Neither of us needed to. I did not sell the land. I did not develop it. I paid the property taxes, and I visited it 4 times in the first year. Once alone, once with my father, once with a friend who loves the woods as much as I do. Once in December when the creek was low and the timber was bare. It looked completely different from the first visit, and exactly like itself. I have not decided what it will become. I have decided it will remain. Edmund asked me to do what I would do with something I loved. What I do with things I love is keep them, tend them, and not explain them to people who would not understand why they matter. I think Edmund knew that. I think that is exactly why he chose me. The folder is still on my desk. The letter and the deed and the addendum. Thin and complete. I do not open it often. I do not need to. I know what is in there. I know what my grandfather did. I know what he was protecting. I know what he trusted me to do. I walk the land when I can. I sit by the creek. I think about him walking here on Sunday mornings with my grandmother. I think about him carrying this secret for 30 years. I think about him writing that letter 11 years ago, sitting at a desk somewhere, choosing his words carefully, telling me he trusted me without telling me what to do. He was an engineer. He worked from a plan, but he left me room. He left me the creek and the timber and the gravel road. He left me a gate with a padlock and a key. He left me the space to figure it out myself. Douglas does not call anymore. He does not email. He does not sit next to me on holidays. He sits across the room and tells his version to whoever will listen. I do not correct him. I do not argue. I do not pull out the folder. I do not show anyone the letter. The people who need to know already know. My father knows. Bellamy knows. The land knows. That is enough. I am 35 years old. I own 12 acres of good timber and one creek. I have a grandfather who trusted me with something he loved. I have a father who came to see it and said he understood. I have a folder on my desk that holds everything that matters and nothing that does not. And I have the rest of my life to walk that land, to sit by that creek, to figure out what it means to keep something safe. Not because you have to, because you want to, because someone trusted you to, because that is what you do with something you love. I'm over at where silence ends. What is the thing someone trusted you to keep that no one else knew about?